We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hello, Alphas out there. This is Ashley Gudermuth sitting right there across from me. What a vision. I love the Capitol behind you, your awesomeness in the foreground, the mirror showing just a corner of another picture there. If you're not on YouTube, you're missing a splendid scene. Oh, now she's covering things up to make it all about her.
Yep.
All right. We are back here for another episode of the Tango Alpha Lima experience. And I just want to, I'm going to take a moment here to, because today when this show airs for the first time on March 21st, it will be the 1 year anniversary of the weirdest day of my life where I felt the most helpless. That's what I could say. This is the 1 year anniversary of the stroke that I had last year. And Ashley doesn't really know about it. And there's probably some of you who don't know about it because we're going to give a couple shout outs. I was living my life normally, typing on the computer. They noticed what I was typing wasn't happening on the computer. It was garbled. And I said to myself, this is weird. I should just take a nap. Wake up, it'll all be over. It could have been all over without me waking up, apparently, is what I'm being told later. Then I got a call from National. This is like the Legion pretty much saved my life. I got a call from National, Mary Jo Andretti Dial. I don't know if you've dealt with her, Ashley.
I have not.
You probably will sometime in the near future. Okay. She's the assistant director of marketing now, right? Is that the way they name it? Assistant director? Yeah. So she called me, and ironically, she was calling to ask me to do voice work at one of the Indy races, the one in Long Beach. And I, to her, sounded like I was drunk at 10:30 in the morning. And because I could hear her silently judging me for a moment, but she doesn't judge, so that's weird. And then she goes, Jeff, you need to stop whatever you're doing and get somebody to get you to the hospital. And of course, I was listening and going, yeah, I'll just take a nap. And she probably knew that being a dumb single man, that's probably what I was going to do. So she asked me, who are you going to call? And the only person I think we both knew that I knew that was in LA was Jennifer Campbell, former commander of Hollywood Post 43. And she was hiking in Runyon Canyon. And we'll have to go there when you come here, Ashley. Okay. Runyon Canyon. You love that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And she ran down from the mountain, jumped in her vehicle, came here, took me to the hospital, spent the whole day, saved people's lives because they were poking me and doing things that made me feel uncomfortable. And I still had one good hand. This right side of my body was completely weak. And I wanted to grab him and say, don't ever stick a man without telling him what you're doing. But so she calmed me down, saved my life. So that happened a year ago. And now I'm I would say 98. I just have a little pain in my ankle that I'm still working through, a little weakness on that right ankle. But I mean, Holly's seen it. She's watched it go. The first thing I went to was in Boston for the Ruck, and I had a temper tantrum because I couldn't say I don't know, was I 70% back speech-wise at that point? But I couldn't say British soldiers, even at that speed. And of course, I wanted to say, and the British soldiers came in, I wanted to say it at my speed, but I couldn't even say it at a slow speed. And I wouldn't change it to redcoats to save my frickin' life because I'm that frickin' stubborn. And I had a temper tantrum. If I was holding anything, I would have thrown it. It's just not awesome. So the moral of this story today is if you are out there, I know we do Be the One for mental health. I'm going to ask you to also be the one to spot danger signs of somebody having something like this. Do you know those signs, Ashley Gutermuth?
Fast. Yeah. I know them fast, and they are fast.
Perfect.
Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Then it's time to call 911.
Yep. Have you had anything major happen to you yet?
Well, I have a traumatic brain injury from a car accident.
Oh.
That makes me screw up words and things. And so, like, I'll go to say pencil and I'll say peaches.
Do you go to? Is that a neurological thing now? Is that did you have to see a neurologist?
Yeah. So I lost hearing, and I had to go to physical therapy and things like that. I moved with the military in the middle of my treatment, and then didn't pick it back up again. So I'm kind of just waiting to die, I guess. I'm not doing a real good job with that. It was really difficult to even get any, like, for example, when it first happened, I was having flashbacks, and and those are really weird because you can't control them at all. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor, I said, hey, I think I should go to see like a therapist or something for these flashbacks that keep happening. And he goes, just so you know, therapists are not magic. I was like, yeah, I didn't ask to go see a magician. Oh my God. So
Dr. Harry Potter.
I definitely have more, like, better than I was. They thought I had brain fluid leaking and things like that, but I don't. I just haven't been able to pick it up. I was supposed to go see another doctor, and then that doctor was getting his knees replaced and refused to see me, and there's a whole thing. But yeah.
Wow. And if you're now, see, I was 1 year ago days old. We don't talk about my age here on Tango Alpha Lima.
Good.
But I had never had a prescription, never done an illegal drug, never spent the night in a hospital. All of that's a lot. And on top of the, just not being able to speak or walk properly, but all of those other things, it was just, so listen to what Ashley told you, watch for the signs, make sure you get them there quickly, because FAST isn't just the acronym. It's you want to get there quickly, because if it's the ischemic version, they can give you a pill or a shot or something that dissolves the blockage, and if you can get there quick enough and they can get that in you, you might walk out of there that day.
Wow.
And perfectly fine. So you want to get there really, really, really quickly. All right. And speaking of health and things, I know we had somebody on just several episodes ago talking about, it was from where was that from? That was from, not convention, Student Veterans of America, right? So it was from the SVA conference, and we had somebody from the Veterans Yoga Project. It was the CEO at that time, or I'm assuming she still is, and she gave me one of my prouder moments of Tango Alpha Lima, because I just said Om Ra, because she's a Marine and we were doing yoga. So I'm pretty proud of that. I'd like that in my highlight reel.
I think that should be in there.
So there's so many, and I thought it's in the magazine now. Henry's been really pushing it. So I thought that Henry Howard. Oh yeah, the CE Yogi. I also said that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I get little flashes of things that make me proud. So there's so many benefits to yoga. I thought maybe we should talk about it again now that it's in the magazine now too. And I think you know all about it, Gudermuth.
Let's learn about it. How about that? Together. Let's learn the health and mental benefits of yoga. The American Legion. The American Legion Internal Affairs and Membership Division welcomed Jeff Masters to its February virtual training Tuesday session. Masters has been practicing yoga for over 40 years and is on the board of directors for Veterans Yoga Project, VYP, a nonprofit that offers free in-person and virtual yoga classes nationwide for veterans, military families, and communities to support recovery and resilience. During the training, Masters spoke about the history of yoga, science behind it, and the benefits for it, including mental health, anxiety, pain, depression, and stress. Masters first addressed misconceptions about yoga. that it's just about stretching, balancing on one leg or your head, chanting, only for the young and flexible individuals. Ultimately, yoga is for everybody, masters said. What we know is that anyone can benefit from taking the time to breathe easy, focus clearly, move mindfully, rest deeply. Sometimes part of the practice of yoga is just to rest in awareness. And finally, lastly, is to take a moment to remember gratitude. By remembering gratitude, we do a very specific thing to our body. It actually creates more stimulus in the vagus nerve and increases our parasympathetic nervous system response, reducing stress, reducing pain, and creating more ease in the mind and body. What do you think?
That all sounds amazing to me.
Yeah.
I get very stressed out about minor things, as we've discussed. So I should probably
Get some yoga in you. Work that vagus nerve.
You mean the slot machine?
Yeah. Let's do it. Good.
They don't even do that anymore, so it's dorky to just
man.
pushing a button.
Pushing the buttons.
I like this, and I like that when they say nationwide, it's true, because they will teach the classes virtually as well as having a teacher come to your location. It's interesting because I talked to somebody. I mean, obviously we talked to the CE Yogi, but I also talked to somebody at their booth about doing something like this at my post on Sunday mornings. So I'm hoping to get that done. I believe in it. I love it.
Stretch it out.
Yeah. You know who probably has done it, probably is a master yogi himself? This cat we're going to meet. His name's Chris Cassidy. Today we'll be joined by retired Navy SEAL and former NASA Chief Astronaut. He just can't be an astronaut. He's got to be the Chief Astronaut. This guy he just does things. And Cassidy is now president and CEO of the National Medal of Honor Museum Foundation, where he leads the mission to inspire America and promote the belief that everyone is born with the potential to be extraordinary, and he would know. He's been extraordinary in so many different levels. We're going to be right back with Chris Cassidy. When, Ashley?
After the break.
The American Legion is raising awareness about PTSD and veteran suicide by offering hope, camaraderie, and support.
Be the one to help end veteran suicide.
The goal of the American Legion's Be the One campaign is to destigmatize asking for mental health support.
Be the one to ask a veteran in your life how they're doing.
Be the one who saves one veteran.
Go to betheone.org and help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Will you be the one?
Welcome back, Alphas. You're going to feel a little less alpha today because we have a real capital triple alpha guy here. If I rarely feel inadequate, but when Naval Academy, MIT, SEAL, and astronaut, you've kind of done everyone's bucket list for their children when they're holding them as a baby and what they want them to do and what they want them to be. You check all of those boxes, sir. Do you have any kids?
I do. I have 3 kids. Yeah, and
they have to live up to this. 2
stepchildren, so we're a 5-kid house now.
Wow, they have to live up to this. That's impressive. All right. This is Ashley Goodenmuth over there. I don't know if you've met her before. Maybe running around. You're both in Texas.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Right now. I'm in Austin right now.
Oh, I was just there yesterday.
See?
Oh, nice. Get a high five.
Arlington, just a little north of you.
Yeah, cool.
All right. And Ashley tends to get the first question because she's smarter than me.
Oh, okay. There we go. Chris, you have done so many amazing things. You've been to space. You were a Navy SEAL. Out of all of the amazing things you've done, if you could do it all over again, what would you change?
What would I change? Actually, that's such a great question. First of all, it's great to be with you. And second of all, I never planned any of that stuff. Like, all of those experiences are because the Navy let me be in it when I was a young guy right out of high school, and that's an interesting story in and of itself. But I did not have a deep family military background, and so sort of I stumbled into it as a way to pay for school. But to answer your question directly, Ashley, what would I change? And golly, I really wanted to be a professional basketball referee when I was in high school. So maybe I would change still doing that on the side. I love my time in the SEAL teams. I love my time at NASA. So I'm not so sure I'd change any of that stuff. But I love sports, and I'll never be a professional athlete. But I would love to be a ref.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. Look at Jeff's face. He can't handle it.
No, I just, when you say, what do you want to be when you grow up? The guy that everybody yells at.
Guy that everybody
Oh,
else
the ref.
right.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just liked it. I refed as a high school kid, men's leagues, and then in college, I refed a little bit on the weekends. And I just thought it was fun.
All right, now we want to get into the museum, but like I told you before, everybody loves space stories. So everybody, most of the astronauts come from the military, correct?
Actually, that's not entirely true, Jeff. We have about half of the astronaut population has a military background, and about half comes from civilian background. So there's really no hard and fast rule. But way back in the Mercury and Gemini days, they all had to be military test pilots, but that is far from true now. It's wide open to anybody to apply.
Okay. So what are you allowed to tell us about the training and your first experience
going to space?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing secret about it. So I can tell you anything and everything. But it's those folks with the military background, you're familiar with like the train up to deployment. And so deployment is this thing, and there's this bucket of time that varies for all units, but it's the pre-deployment preparation, somewhere between 2 and 1 year, I imagine. Could be shorter, could be long, whatever. But we have the same model as NASA astronauts. And I remember getting called into the Chief Astronaut's office and being told, hey, we're going to assign you to this mission. It's called STS-127 Space Shuttle Endeavour. Your launch date is in the summer of 2009 it was. So this was about year and a half before that. And that was a really, really cool moment, right? I got called when I was selected as an astronaut in early 2004. And then for the next 2 years, I was an astronaut candidate, and you're just kind of going through the motions, a lot of training, a lot of preparation, a lot of exams, a lot of testing. But you're not really eligible to be on a mission, to be assigned to a mission. And after that astronaut candidacy period, I was eligible to be assigned to a mission, but working in support of other missions. And now all of a sudden, I get the call, and I begin training with my specific crew for a specific mission. I know my job, I know my role, and it was really exciting. There's lots I could tell you there, but the most fun thing to share is launch day. Like, you wake up and now it's the day, and somebody gives you these instructions, and they say, pack this bag for what you want to wear when you land, pack this bag as a contingency bag that will be in Edwards Air Force Base in California if you land there. All this other stuff goes back to your home in Houston. Put your wallet and your keys and your cell phone and your passport in this bag. We'll take care of that for you. And now you're just standing there in your gym shorts and your sneakers, and walk down to the suit room, and you get your suit on, you get on a bus, you ride the bus out to the launch pad, you step off this bus, and you look up at this rocket, fully fueled, steam coming out of it, ice on the thing, just crazy. And you realize, wow, it is game day. We're getting in that thing, and all these nerves of excitement, pride, because you're representing, in my case, the Navy, or your home state, or whatever it is, and just nerves. Am I going to screw it up? It's just such a cool day. And then you climb in, and there you go. I could go in any direction you want, but launch day is really something special.
I think in your case, the direction would be up.
Oh, that's the way you want to go.
To go. on a rocket. Yeah.
How did your family feel about you going into space?
Actually, a lot of support, and NASA does it when I first got selected, it was just like this kind of artificial concept. Yeah, you're going to space, dad, husband, whatever. But you're just kind of it's a new duty station, if you will, and you're getting settled as a family, and you're going to work, and space is not real for for a number of years. It gets real when you get assigned to a mission. It gets more real when you send out the launch invitations to all your friends and family. In Florida, each crew member got 250 people. And it gets even more real when they start coming to Florida a couple days before launch. All of that was super supportive. I think if you'd ask my wife on this most recent mission, she felt totally all in until the final, like, I forget what she says, 10, 15, 20 seconds, where she's like, wait, where's the pause button?
Yep.
Let's not go forward with this thing anymore. Because then it kind of, the reality of it is there, and you're seeing flames start to happen. But I'll tell you, Ashley, on a crew side of it, I think re-entry day is a little bit more frightening than launch, because on launch, all the bad, scary stuff that can kill you is right behind you. On re-entry, all the bad, scary stuff that can kill you is right in front of you. You got to go
heading
through
towards it.
You got to go through it. So re-entry day is something I think a lot about.
Yeah. And it's interesting the way that you brought that up. It reminded me when my husband, when he's gone for deployments and I drop him off, and I'm usually excited for him. Like, he went during the pandemic, he was gone for 7 months, and I'm excited for him to go because I know that it's something that he trains for and that he is excited to do it, right? What's the point in having these jobs unless you use your training, right? If it needs to be used. But so I'm usually like happy for him in that sense, but also there's like this moment where all of a sudden all the emotions that you have that you are tamping down go somewhere, and you hope that it's not in front of everybody in the Seattle airport.
Right.
So
Right.
I could definitely feel for that bubbling up that your wife read through. I wonder what it's like. We talk about integration when it comes to military families, reintegration, where they come back from a deployment or you were gone for a really long time. What that's like, because from a deployment, that's the hardest point. You've come back into a household, and it's different because the family had to adjust without you being there. So I wonder if that's very similar to you being gone for a year on a spaceship.
Yeah. I felt it a little more difficult in military deployments coming back, particularly in 2001 and earlier, when reliable, robust, ever-present internet communication wasn't the case. And then you really are reintegrating almost from scratch, right? The NASA does a fantastic job on the psychological support of crew members and families, because a squared away family means a squared away space flyer, just like a military unit, right? The unit preparation is the whole family. And so we have video conferences once a week. We have a telephone that we can make phone calls. It's actually a pretty awesome deal. Nobody can call us. We can only make calls. And if you're losing the satellite coverage, or even if you are done with the conversation, I'm losing the satellite. Okay.
Sun flare.
Yeah. And of course we have email. So I felt super, super connected. And especially later in my astronaut career, my kids were all grown up and out of the house. And that's a huge factor too, right? Like if you're missing a whole bunch of performances in school and sports games and young birthday parties and stuff, that can be stressful on the individual and the family. It's just, I found it a little bit different, because I had 4 deployments as a SEAL, 6-month deployments. Kids are younger, and then 2 6-month trips to space, plus a 2-week trip to space. And those times were different.
Wait, you spent over a year in space?
Yeah, cumulatively over a year.
Nice. The thing I would worry about is, like, that's such an epic adventure that very few people get to experience, and then like you're never gonna get to see that view of the Earth and everything again. So it's got to be just a big impressive impression on your life. Now I can
It
talk
is.
about. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just to expand on that a little bit, Jeff, it's kind of like going to the Grand Canyon. You've seen pictures of the Grand Canyon. Oh, it's a pretty big hole. And you get there and you go, wow, this is made by nature. This is unbelievable. And the same kind of thing is true on a space flight to a little bit higher elevation. You've seen pictures from space of Earth, and you really gives you whatever perspective. But when you're watching it, when you see the movement, when you see the Earth moving below you at 5 miles a second, and you see weather patterns developing and right before your very eyes, and you see just colors of green and brown and blues and white. It just kind of you go, wow, that thing is our spaceship for 8 billion people. And for me, it made me much more Earth aware, Earth conscious, appreciative of what the planet does for us. And effectively, the Earth is a machine that keeps us all alive, just like the metal thing that we're in is a machine that, from space, is a machine that keeps us all alive.
Well, I could probably talk to you about space for a long time, but Hollywood murder us all if we sat here for hours and hours and hours. I do want to talk about when you came back to Earth, but yet you still do big things. You're now part of a museum that honors. I was just looking it up. I should know this number off the top of my head. 3,515 Medal of Honor Award recipients.
Actually, we got to add one to that number, because yesterday or the day before, President Biden bestowed the award on a gentleman from Vietnam. So we're 3,516.
516. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. So you were, I said working for you're president of the National Medal of Honor Museum Foundation. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So there exists Medal of Honor museums and monuments around the country. There is not one in DC. There's not a national one. And the organization before I got here thought, okay, we're going to build a national museum for Medal of Honor, honoring Medal of Honor recipients. There was some effort to have it be in Charleston, South Carolina. The headquarters of the Medal of Honor Society is there. The organization thought, well, wait a minute, if we're going to build this thing, let's assess where in the country is the right spot to have the most impact and reach to the nation. And DC is an obvious choice, but you know what? It takes forever to build something there, decades, and multiple steps through Congress, depending on the physical location. And then where is that land? There's not a lot of free available space for museums there. So long story short, they settled on the Arlington, Texas area, centrally located in the country. The city gave a nice plot of land. There's football stadiums, baseball stadiums, Six Flags. There's a lot going on here, and a museum would be a great value add. So what is our project? We're going to build a physical museum here in the middle of the country. In that museum, we'll also hold a leadership institute that will have natural reach. I'll talk about that in a second. And then we are going to put a monument on the mall in DC. And in 2021, you have to have authorization from Congress and signed into law by the president in order to be on the National Mall. And we did that in 2021, unanimously passed in the House and the Senate, and then President Biden signed it into law in 21. Now we're doing the next step is, if you want to be on the grass green thing, the National Mall actually is a bigger area. The green grass strip between Lincoln and Washington Monument, that's actually called the reserve. If you want to be on the reserve, it requires a second step of legislation. So those three things are what we're doing. Monument in DC, museum in Texas, leadership institute which will impact youth and adults alike. And I could go on and on about any of that, but suffice it to say, The museum's under construction. We're about 1 year into to it, and we will 2 more years till we open the door. We're looking at Medal of Honor Day 2025, which is March 25th of 2025, where we'll be fully open for business. Exciting project. I'm really happy to be part of it. When I was hanging up my military uniform a year and a half ago, the opportunity came to work here, and it just felt like a great fit. Continuing to serve, you know, you don't think about it when you're a young 17, 18-year-old entering the military. You're just doing a job and you're getting skills and you're gaining experiences, but ultimately you're serving. And when you get older in life, you realize that service piece is a bigger part of it than your young self would admit. And that's the part that I feel really personally satisfied, is continuing to serve the nation this way.
I love that when you guys are trying to decide where to go, like DC or somewhere else, you chose another Arlington. So that will
Chose another Arlington, right?
you're like,
Exactly.
we're in Arlington, Texas.
Texas.
So you have to throw that Texas in there. All right, Ashley, I could go on all day. You have to interrupt me.
Oh, okay. Let's smack you around. Fair enough. So what do you want? So with the National Medal of Honor Museum Foundation, how do you want it to impact others? What do you want people to learn about, to take in? Do you want them to go on and serve as a result, or just have a feeling of pride? What do you want them to take away from it?
That's a fantastic question, Ashley, because the answer to that is the guidepost to everything that we do. And our museum and our institute, it's not going to be where you're going to learn the history of military wars. You can go elsewhere, other places do that. It's not where you're going to see tons of tanks or airplanes that Medal of Honor recipients were in. You can go other places to see those platforms. This is going to be a museum of biographies, of stories of individual people who are normal Americans who did something extraordinary when the country needed them. So those stories of courage and sacrifice and love of teammate is what we're highlighting. And we aspire, this is the answer to your question, we aspire to motivate the guests, the visitors of the physical museum and the participants in our institute programs to realize that courage is something that doesn't just have to be on the battlefield. Courage comes in all forms of our life, right? It comes with a tough day at work, a hard conversation with a loved one, a challenging time with your personal health or your loved one's health. All of those take courage. And somebody that doesn't mind jumping on a grenade could be scared to death to have a hard conversation with their teenage kid. So, and we've explored those conversations with Medal of Honor recipients. So it's that inspiration through stories of courage and sacrifice that is what we're all about. And that's both with the visitor experience in the museum when we open, and then what the participants in our programs will take. And by the way, the Institute will have a center for youth. We're calling that the Center for Character Excellence, and a center focused on adult programs will be the Center for Leadership in Action. And we're putting together that content of all different times right now. But the very first one will be in a month, where 3 days here in Arlington, 3 or 4 Medal of Honor recipients part of the program, and world-class facilitators running through that. So we've got all 25 of those seats filled already, and that'll be our inaugural program of many, many like it, all in the theme of that courage and inspiration through those stories, Ashley.
I love that. And I really like your point of a hard thing for someone else is not hard. It's individually based, we all have our own things that are difficult for us. And
right.
It's that regardless of what that thing is, by you doing it anyway, despite being afraid, that's what makes you brave, no matter what it is.
Yeah. I was talking to a doctor friend of mine, and he was laughing with one of his patients because the patient had some tattoos, but was scared to death of the flu shot. And the doctor's like, "What are you talking about, man? Look, That's the same thing. And the patient, they were laughing together, like, oh, I guess you're right. I shouldn't be scared. But it's a small vignette of what we're talking about. It comes in all forms and sizes.
Yeah, perspective.
What I tend to get from the Medal of Honor recipients whenever I hear them speak, and I've been to several events, it's the selfless act of saving others more often than not that propels them to be eligible for this award. And I think the lessons of that are applicable in everyday life. I think we lack that, even though the stakes are way lower. People here won't take out the garbage to ease the burden on somebody else in the family because it's inconvenient for them in the moment. But the lessons of a selfless act with the highest of stakes is an important. I think it's an important lesson. So I hope that your scope goes beyond the privileged, like 25 that get to go sit in this classroom. Do you plan on any virtual activities or traveling exhibits or whatever you
100%.
call them?
Yeah, Jeff, 100%. We've done a lot of research and talking to other organizations, and about 50-mile radius from a place is about the limit of a school field trip where it makes sense for a school to invest the time and the money. So if you think about that, we can get a fair amount of kids in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but it's a drop in the bucket to the population of school kids in the United States. So virtual programs is essential. In fact, we're partnering already because we know your insight, Jeff, is something that we had studied a lot, and we have partnered now with the NFL. The NFL has this thing called the Character Playbook, which is in right now 27,000 classrooms around the country on this electronic platform called EverFi that teachers and students can access if their school participates in it. And we are right now, as we speak, making a module that will attach to the NFL's Character Playbook and be ready for the next calendar school year. And that's step one of the national reach. And then parallel to that, developing our own online content, but that, takes a little time and won't be ready for next school year. But we realize we don't need to wait for the building to be built in order to take advantage of this treasure trove of stories and inspiration that we have at our fingertips. So we're kind of doing all of this in parallel efforts. While you were talking, Jeff, it reminded me too, all the recipients that I talked to, their message is the same, like you said, and that is it's heavier to wear it's harder to wear the medal than it is to earn it. And I didn't understand that at first, but now I do. That medal is not being worn for them as an individual recipient. It's being worn for their colleagues and friends and teammates and loved ones that didn't make it, and who are still out there doing the fight. So I really love that message that they're wearing it for more people, and the medal weighs a lot more than just the 2-3 ounces that it is around their neck.
Right. It's awe-inspiring to, especially because when I have had the honor of meeting recipients, it's usually before they tell their story in the program. Like you're meeting them in a meet and greet, and you can tell there's something about them, but they're just talking to you. They're asking about, of course, they're asking about your story, which in that moment feels super insignificant. I feel like, I don't have anything to say compared to what I'm probably about to hear. And then you see them take the stage. And when they take the stage, they own the room. And they own the room because it comes from a place of humility. They are not boasting about their accomplishments or the things that they did to to have that placed around their neck, they are talking about their friends and their teammates. And I think one of them called it, it's strange to have the worst day in your life give you this lifelong I can't even think of the word that I want, but the honor of wearing that in memory of, or in gratitude for other people's service. And that humility is, that may be their superpower. I don't know another way of saying it. So the fact that you are working so hard to bring light and attention to their stories, to me, is I just hope that it goes everywhere, because this is it's those are stories that need to be told, and those are lessons that need to be learned, and those are examples that need to be replicated. So I applaud you for that. I would have applauded you for every single thing I'm reading here about you, but it all culminates into this. So wow, where can we go to see the progress? Are you taking contributions? How can people help?
Yep, great question. Thanks. And thanks for your nice words. We feel the same way, Jeff, and that's why we're staff of about 20 people and working hard to deliver this to the nation. So thank you. mohmuseum.org is the website. You can learn all about the project. You can learn about recipients. There's lots of places where you can learn about Medal of Honor recipients. We're one of them. But on our website, you can learn about the project, the build. I think there's a link in there to what the construction looks like today. All the concrete's poured, steel beams are being erected, and it's transforming. Once steel starts coming, it transforms almost weekly. But mohmuseum.org, you can contribute. Every dollar helps. We appreciate just the interest alone, and that's where you can find out about us.
But we can donate there, right?
You can donate. There's a little donate button. You click away.
Alphas, you know you're good at clicking things, so click some
away.
funds.
Yep,
click some funds over there to that, in honor of that selfless service done with the utmost humility. And I'm this is a rare moment, loss of words. Don't know what to say next. Ashley, can you jump in? It's rare, very rare.
Very rare. I know we're wrapping up, but I want to ask you, what is, and this is a question that might not have an answer. What is something that you think is super interesting about your life and the things you've done and the things that you value that nobody ever asks you about, but you wish that they would?
Good question. That's two good questions. You
Actually three.
Not that all your questions aren't good, but
you've mentioned three of her questions.
Yeah. Fantastic. So people read the stuff in a bio and Wikipedia and they go, oh my God, well, you're a different person. I'm not. I was a kid that was just playing sports and being a best son and best brother and best friend that I could be. And so that's what I wish people would ask is more about, like, I'm not anybody special, kind of like a Medal of Honor recipient. I feel the same response that I've heard them say. I was just in there at the moment and did what I felt was right. And for me, it was, I have such an appreciation for mentors and timing, like you can't, if I had been 2 years younger or older, I might not have been the right applicant on that astronaut selection cycle. So there's some part of life that is just timing, and some part of life that's knowing about stuff, right? Like, oh man, it could have been a perfect applicant for an astronaut, but they just didn't know you could apply. Not specifically answering your question, Ashley, you a little bit stumped me, but that's kind of what I like to talk about that no one often asks about is is how did just a normal kid growing up find their way into all of these things? And because each opportunity is one that is presented to you, whether you're aware of it or not, or if you're just making a decision that you never even thought about the decision, and you walk down a path, and there you are presented with that opportunity and its reality. I just find it fascinating how life is, right? Like, and how it just plays out in a way that you never predicted when you're a young person. You can
Yeah,
try,
you can't see it.
and some occasions it, you're the kid that plans out their whole life and it works, but it's very rare.
Well, what I'm hearing from what you're saying is that you always tried to do the best that you could, which bleeds over into every aspect of your life. I'm a stand-up comedian, which means in that job you fail all the time. You can't control everything. So there's times when a joke that has worked 150 times for whatever reason doesn't work one night. And I always have to remember and remind myself that I'm always doing the best that I can. No matter what, I always do the best that I can. And it sounds like you always try to be the best brother, the best kid, the best student, and you're always trying to do your best. Doesn't mean that it always worked out that way, but I think that bleeds over and that builds that part of your brain that goes, all right, we're going to keep pushing. And that's how you accomplish cool stuff.
I agree. And I have this kind of fear of letting people down that I care about. And like on my space cruise, that was my motivation to not make mistakes, because I didn't want the mission to get a hiccup or worse, some safety thing, because I didn't do my job. Or same kind of thing. And as a sports teammate or a SEAL teammate, is I just always wanted to do my portion that was expected of me, so I don't let people down that are counting on me.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
That's probably one of the lessons we talk about in Legion baseball. The lessons that they teach growing up, being a part of a team, not letting the things down. I do want to point out two quick lessons that I heard. One is, I'm going to combine them. One is timing and doing your best. And the second is doing your best. I firmly believe in every lifetime, from anybody who processes oxygen through their lungs, they come across moments in their life where their preparedness, their integrity, and their intention to be the best in that moment is there before them, and they don't always take it. So the timing factor it's one thing, but you have to be prepared to take advantage of those opportunities when they come before you to have greatness.
Yeah, the individual certainly has to do their part.
Yep. And I think that's what you're teaching. So we could be here. We could just be here. And I know super producer Holly's she's got many, many important things to do. She's very much cooler than Ashley and I. So we're gonna have to wrap this up. Okay, so you've given us all about the museum. NASA's on there too. So people know how to get a hold of you. mohmuseum.org. They're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, and mostly MOH Museum is their @ name.
And one other thing, Jeff, too, not to cut you off, but another way to support is there's this thing that I've just been a part of, myhandmycause.com, where Medal of Honor Museum Foundation, we get almost every bit of the cost of my hand is in this picture of a spacesuit. You can go buy the print, and it comes to you, and we get almost all of the proceeds comes directly to the museum. myhandmycause.com.
And I see Holly typing away. That's definitely going to be in the show notes.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything from Texas, Ashley, before we?
From Texas, howdy.
Howdy. Eat barbecue.
I'm moving to San Antonio, so I got to get ready.
That's super exciting. I'm in LA, so you guys are like time zones away, and then Holly's in Indiana. Right. Wow, that Earth perspective from you, Chris. You're probably thinking you guys aren't that far apart. You're just different parts of.
Well, it's been great to be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Alphas. You know where to find them. You know what to do. Click, 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 donate, support, and share those stories. And we're going to be right back with you all of you who we think of as heroes, right after the break.
By pulling out your cell phone and simply typing www.legion.org/action, you have at your fingertips our legislative priorities. With one press of a button, you can let your congressmen and your senators know what the American Legion wants to pass. And you can do it every single day. The power is in our hands. You just have to take the opportunity to use it.
Ashley.
Sir.
Which of the list, I mean the endless list of impressive things, impressed you most about that interview?
He spent a whole year in space. We didn't talk too much about his Navy SEAL time, a little bit, but I am interested in the fact that he wants to be a basketball referee.
Right. That he grew up wanting to be that.
He wanted to be that. And I love that. I would love the idea of watching, like, how would an astronaut or a Navy SEAL be as a basketball referee? Would there be a lot of shouting? Would there be like knives? Camo? He's
and
just
what are you
hiding.
gonna say to someone that got selected to be an astronaut? You're gonna say that they're blind and they missed that call?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Like, how could you not see that? And he could literally go, he could say, because it didn't happen. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Sit down.
Sit down. You earth dweller. Just sit on down.
And he's got a great space toilet video on YouTube.
Holly's really excited about that. It'll be at the top of your show notes. So we ready to go back to the range? It's range day.
We're heading there. Let's go. Let's see if it's
range
open.
day. Locked and loaded. Woo! We're going pew, 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 pew. We're off to rapid fire. All right, rapid fire number 1. John Bernthal returning as the Punisher for Daredevil Born Again. John Bernthal is returning to his most punishing role. The actor will reprise Frank Castle, aka anti-hero The Punisher, and Marvel Studios' Daredevil Born Again for Disney Plus, sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. There's more to be read here, but I'm not going to read it. I'm going to pontificate for about 25 seconds.
Pontificate.
The Punisher, in my estimation, is the greatest superhero in the Marvel universe, nay, any universe. He has a very specific superpower. He does not fly. He does not have superhuman strength. He cannot repel bullets, see through walls, or even seduce the most beautiful woman in the room. His superpower is fueled by an iconic logo of the eagle, globe, and anchor. The only thing that makes him elite, is that he is a United States Marine. Ooh, frickin' raw. That's it. That's all I have to say about the Punisher.
But who punishes the Punisher?
Nobody. His own internal rage is the only thing that punishes the Punisher.
Does the Punisher actually go to the VA and he's got to?
I don't think they would have him.
You don't think that they would have him? They wouldn't accept him. They're like, we're.
I can't remember the backstory, but he may have been dishonorably discharged.
Oh,
He
take away that
Punisher, the greatest superhero ever, is not eligible for VA care potentially. I'm sure some comic book people are gonna correct me.
It's not eligible for VA care. That's why he's fine.
Like, it was a bad conduct, but he got a lawyer and got it upgraded. He's totally.
He's 100% disabled. That's why he's able to do all this for free.
All right, we're gonna go on from the Marine Corps. We're gonna talk about one of your favorite topics in rapid fire number pew pew 2. Wait. Oh, was that I have something to say, or were you pew pewing?
No, I'm pew pewing.
Oh, she's pew pewing. Here's how to get a 2023 MLB.TV military discount. This comes from military.com. Veterans and military members can get in on a parade of Major League Baseball games through a military MLB TV military discount available through GovX. I'm gonna skip with the MLB commercial about how great it is, except to say that the limitation is the service allows you to access all MLB games except the ones featured locally. So if you live in Boston, you can watch any game that doesn't include the Red Sox. It's probably going to be, typically those games are aired locally, and that's why they're doing that, not to not take away from the networks. So here's the deets, my friend. You can get an active duty military veterans a 35% discount on the service's $149.99 subscription fee. Their math means that you're paying $97.50. There's also a beer that lets you pick just one out of market team for $129.99, or you can subscribe for $24.99 a month. So basically, that's $84.99 for the single team and $16.24 a month if you want to subscribe. I don't really see the difference between $97.50 and $84.99 being prohibitive. So just go ahead and get all the teams. Just go ahead and do it. Get your discount, maximize it. Now, Ashley, you're a big fan. You grew up playing?
I grew up playing baseball. Also a big fan of discounts. So everybody go to govx.com's MLB page, grab those discounts. I think it seems like a pretty good deal.
And since you live now in a place where the local team isn't your team because you lived all over the place, that's probably a good deal for you.
Yeah.
And you love baseball.
I do love baseball.
And just so we make it relevant to I guess it's already relevant because of the military discount, but a lot of these players, just letting you know, played Legion baseball. I'm just saying. And if you watch Legion baseball where you're at, probably at least one of them kids somewhere, probably going to end up in the bigs one day. And you can say, I knew that when he was a whippersnapper.
No,
Just a little whippersnapper.
a little baby.
Barely taller than the bat. And I was rooting for him. All right. We're gonna get on through it. We're gonna do rapid fire number what?
3.
Pew pew pew. That's right. This is awesome. The national parks guy. I can't remember that. What was it? Wasn't it Wendy's in the fast food that was roasting people on the internet all the time? Do you remember that?
I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure.
During the pandemic, right? They were just roasting people.
Oh wow.
So the National Park Service jokingly warns not to push a slower friend down if you encounter a bear. The National Park Service had some very important news for what not to do if you and a friend encounter a bear in the wild. If you come across a bear, never push a slower friend down, the agency wrote on Twitter, even if you feel the friendship has run its course. Wow. You pulled your mic up. You have something to say.
I mean, if it really depends. If my life is flashing before my eyes and that friend has done something wrong to me, I'm taking them to Trip City.
Yeah, they're bear food.
They're bear food.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a bear in the wild?
Yeah.
I have. I when I lived in Washington State and I would run all the time, and I saw a bear. And you know what? I always said that I was running to be able to run away from bears, and that was like my training. And I actually saw a bear, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's so cute! Let me get my phone. Let me take these cute pictures of this cute little bear." And then I was like, "Ashley, you're a moron. You have to get out of here." And, I got a cool picture of it, and then it got startled by me, and it went and scampered away because I am the bear whisperer. Well, not terribly close, but like close enough that it saw me. You're supposed to wear bells so that it runs away. But I'm always thinking like, yeah.
No, don't skip over this tidbit of news you can use. What did you just say?
You wear bells when you're in the woods so that the bears can like hear you and then you scare the bears away. Or it's like the dinner bell. Really depends on how you look at it.
Or how they look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not messing with bears, but I like them. I think they're cute. They're on the top 10 my animal lists. Big old grizzly. I'd love to meet one in person, shake its hand, tell it to have a good day. Thank you for your service.
Please don't ever do that.
Well,
please take someone with you.
Don't tell me what to do with my body.
Yeah, you can have it mutilated all you want. All right. We're not gonna have a bear attack, and I have to go ponder that and maybe start running like you in case I do run in California as bears.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in West Hollywood. That's a different kind of bear that I've heard about.
It's a different kind.
It's and
Equally cuddly.
and I can outrun outrun all of that type of bear. So I'm good. Ashley.
Climb a tree.
Let's
take us home. Hashtag cancels. We're working on it. We're working on it. Hey everybody, don't forget to subscribe to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You know, for those of you that are kind of curious, it has nothing to do with lima beans. So just Tango Alpha Lima, not Lima. Wherever you consume podcasts, please leave us a review and give us a big old 5-star rating. Otherwise, I'm sending a note to your mom saying that you broke her favorite vase, and you know the one I'm talking about, and she's not going to be happy about it. And I'm going to tell her that you started smoking cigarettes. She's going to be so mad. She's going to be so mad. Yeah, leave us that 5-star review so the world knows how much you love us. If you have a guest recommendation, I want to hear it. Jeff Daly of the Michigan Dailies wants to hear it. Go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima. Click on the suggested guest link. We will be able to see those. I mean, I don't know who. I'm thinking maybe like Gandhi next. Somebody suggest him.
Yeah. Go to suggestion and see if they can exhume.
Jesus
Gandhi
was a veteran. Let's interview him.
They can exhume Gandhi for us, and we'll get a Ouija board up in here, something. So that vase is probably broke. It's probably from Lima, Peru.
Mm-hmm.
Lima, Peru. We should go there and record from Lima, Peru. Anyway, thank you, Alphas, as always, for your continued service and listening to the Tango Alpha Lima program. It makes super producer Holly giggle in her giddy way that she does. And we are grateful for all of you, and we are grateful for our guest today. And if you need a hero, Chris Cassidy is your hero. I defy anyone to write into our show and say that you have half the hero resume that Chris Cassidy has. And I will read it on the air, and then Ashley will roast you because that's what she does professionally. So don't do that. Just go out there and be awesome, be an alpha, and come back with us, because now I'm declaring season 4, episode 151 mission